Hi, Professor Weaver. So, I did my altered book project in a book called One Day All Children by Wendy Kopp or Coop. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but you can see it right there. Maybe it's backwards for you. But um, she's actually the founder of Teacher America, and she wrote this book years after she started the organization. And it's her book about how the organization started, where she came up with the idea, and how she pretty much got the funds to start Teacher America. And so the reason why I chose this book will come a bit later in the presentation, but this is the book I decided to do my altered book on. All right, so I actually have my book here to refer to, but the first thing your eye will see when you probably look at these two pages is the word grow. And I wrote the word grow on the page because I wanted my theme of my altar book to be my purpose or my why. And I believe we live out multiple purposes in our lifetime, but one of our main purposes is our career. And I hope to have a potential career in teaching. And I wanted to focus on how I've done a lot of growth in order to get to this point, but I also have a lot to learn. And I am a advocate for lifelong learning. So I love growth and learning. So I wrote the word grow. I drew plants around grow, and then I looked up synonyms. I can't ever say that word, but synonyms of the word grow. So I have words next to the plants like cultivate, develop, sprout, stretch, build, things that I have personally done in my growth development in order to become a teacher, and things that I hope my future students will do and I will encourage them to do. And then I have this square colored background, which to me kind of looks like a ladder or steps. And I like it because it does look like steps, and it kind of looks like the steps I've taken in order to become a teacher up to this point. And I actually wrote down the journey to teach so that way people could know what my theme is about in my book. And then I wrote down different events that have happened in my life to get me to the point where I am today, which is I'm graduating in a couple of days from APU, so that's really exciting. But I wrote the year actually of when these events took place. So I have events like my Haiti missions trip, and when I was actually admitted to the APU nursing program, but then switched to liberal studies, events like that. And that is the first and second pages. All right, so on my on the third and fourth pages here, I kind of continue that theme of steps, and I did watercolor for these steps here, and I did multiple layers of different colors of watercolor there, and then I wrote the words big dream made of small steps, again with the theme of steps, because I thought that when I was reflecting over my experience that I've had thus far in order to become a teacher, I didn't feel like I had huge accomplishments that I've done, but I've taken a lot of different small steps, and sometimes they're the same steps, and sometimes I'm going forward and going backward, but I felt like my journey had been a lot of small steps in order to achieve a bigger dream. And then actually all of the black that you see, like here and down here, I didn't add until after I did this page. So I'm going to talk about this page now. And I am a math concentration, and so I love math. And I drew a bunch of triangles here because right now I am in geometry, and geometry has proven to be my toughest math class since I've been taking math. And so I did watercolor again with the triangles, and then I went over the triangles with Sharpie to outline them, and then I did different prints like stripes or rectangles or curves inside the triangles. And then what came next was actually the red writing that you will see, and I originally wanted to not have triangles on that page. I wanted to do puzzle pieces and put the pieces together, because not only do I see humankind and people as little puzzle pieces to who God is, but I see puzzle pieces into people's educational progress. And so I wrote things down like mini pieces for one puzzle, and then I wrote down that like this takes time, this takes patience, but there is one goal, there's many perspectives, putting the pieces together. And I also wrote Sharpie around one day all children to again focus on that yes, this is my educational progress, but I am doing this for my future students and for the students that I am interacting with now in service learning experiences and the private tutoring that I do and my own internships. So I finished this page, and then I went back to this page and I thought, how can I make this painstakingly detailed and give it some more layers? And so I went along that theme of math, and in math, again, up in this section, I have add, multiply, subtract, divide, but I thought of, okay, what can I add, subtract, multiply, or divide in my own classroom when it comes to classroom etiquette or classroom management? So I said add smiles, subtract bullying, multiply kindness, and divide care. And then I wrote love for all in the watercoloring, and then I wrote down on the very bottom who those all were, which would include my students, my staff, and my community. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about my last 2 pages. So on my first 2 pages, or my first 4 pages, I used the blank pages that were given in the book, and now I wanted to incorporate the text. So I drew, again, plants around the edges so that way it could capture that theme of growth again, and then I circled around in marker and then colored in crayon around phrases on the page that I wanted to pay attention to, and the phrases all have to do with issues that our schools are facing, like teacher shortages and how there's a need for good teachers and that there is a need to serve because there are quote-unquote frightening state of our schools is what it says. So again, this page just kind of shows the reader or shows the person who is looking at my altered book that the reasons for why good teachers are needed and why teachers are needed in the first place. And that's all I want to say on that page. And then my final page is this fun page. So first I sectioned off the page with black diagonal lines, and then I drew in crayon different patterns along the background, and I really wanted to focus on layering on this page, and so over the crayon I then I actually colored in yellow words. So I colored in yellow words: vision, time, committed, and standards. And then I used Sharpie to cross out or just block out all of the other words that were on the page, so that way you could really know what words I wanted to highlight. And then the white pages, or the white pieces of paper here, I wrote the words in cursive, the words that I highlighted on the page. I wrote them in cursive on the paper, and then I described it more of what these words meant to me. And so, and I kind of just used this page as a reminder to myself of what these words mean to me now, because I'm sure these words are going to mean something completely different for me in 10 years. So I thought it would be really fun to look back on, and like, for example, it says standards, and I'm like, okay, whose standards am I working towards right now? And I'm saying God's, my own, the state, and my students, and kind of like this is my goal for myself now and 10 years from now. So hopefully when I can look back on it in 10 years, these are still my standards. And so, yeah, this is my 16th final page of my altar book of my purpose, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks.